It feels like no matter how long you go into planning for a vacation, booking your flights, getting hotels, there's always that crazy last minute rush where it feels like it's not going to all come together. Throw in filming a podcast episode in the middle of that, and that's where I am right now. I will see you on the other side. Welcome, and thank you for joining me for episode 29 of Gary Knits, Gary Rides, a Craftivism podcast at the intersection of making things and doing good. My name is Gary. I'm a knitter and a crocheter and a cyclist and fundraiser with AIDS Lifecycle, an annual 545-mile, 7-day bike ride from San Francisco to Los Angeles, raising money for the life-saving work of the San Francisco AIDS Foundation and the Los Angeles LGBT Center. As part of my fundraising for the past several years, I've run a series of Knitalongs and Crochetalongs called the End AIDS Knitalongs and Crochetalongs, as well as an occasional fiber auction on Instagram called D-Stash for Good. If you would like to find me on Instagram, you can find me at Gary Knits, Gary Rides. I am also on Ravelry as Gary Knits and Rides. On Ravelry, we also have a group for the Knitalongs and Crochetalongs, one of which is running right now. I'll talk a little bit about that coming up. I hope everyone had a great end to their summer and is easing back into the school year, if that's part of your life, or just starting to enjoy a little cooler weather. Not probably quite to leaves changing colors and things like that, but hopefully things are cooling down for folks. I saw that last week Texas got a brief break from the heat, so my friends down there were very grateful for that. As I mentioned, I'm kind of filming this a little bit off schedule because next week, which would normally be a podcast week, we will be on vacation, but I wanted to get this recorded before we headed out on the road and talk a little bit about what I'm going to take with me on this trip to work on, as well as show off what I've been doing over the past couple of weeks. So I think I forgot to mention during the last episode that one of the things that I did to wrap up the end of my summer was to go to a stitch and pitch game at Dodger Stadium. The Dodgers were playing badly against the Braves, but one of the yarn stores here locally, the Altered Stitch, put together a group of, I would say there are probably 40 or 50 of us, grouped us all in one section, and we were allowed to bring in our knitting and crocheting projects. I don't really understand why that is more of a challenge, why that's something that we wouldn't normally be able to do, but we had to go through a special gate and all this stuff. But anyway, I think I forgot to mention that they put together really nice little goodie bags. One of the things that were in the goodie bags was this amazing little stitch marker keeper. I'd never seen this on the market, or I would have totally gotten one by now. It's a little suitcase, that's what it looks like. But you open it up and there are all these little compartments for your various types of stitch markers. So worth the price of admission alone to the baseball game, I thought. They also did a really fun thing where throughout the game they had bingo cards made up, and for different things, double plays, stolen bases, things like that, you got to check off a bingo card. There are also some knitting related ones as well. And at the end of the night, I won this really gorgeous bag from Dragonfish Handmade Goods here in LA. So this is going to go into the booty stash for prizes for the Knitalongs and Crochetalongs. So I thought that was really cool. So that was a fun event. And then a couple days later, I hosted, just because the normal host had to deal with the family situation, I hosted a local sit and knit at a brew pub in one of the communities nearby. It was the first time I'd gotten together with this group, which is called the South Bay Drunken Knitters, and we had a really good time. It was nice to meet some new folks, and I'm hoping that I can make that a part of my regular Knitting Social Life going forward. I think they try to do something every month or so, and usually get 5 to 7 people knitting on projects. So we just kind of sat out on the main strip in Hermosa Beach and had some drinks and some food and showed each other our projects, and it was really fun to get together with some local knitters. So that was sort of the end of my summer, and now we're looking forward to this vacation. In terms of things that are going on, I mentioned the Knitalongs and Crochetalongs. Those will continue through October 31st. So we just had the first round of giveaway prizes. All of the winners have been contacted, and all of those prizes are already on their way to them. The next round of giveaways will happen at the end of this month, so that will be the halftime giveaway. So get your WHIP and FO photos posted on Instagram using these hashtags or in our Ravelry group. Every time you post a picture, it is an entry into the giveaways, and they don't reset. So if you've entered now, that entry will carry through until you've either won or the end of the Knitalong at the end of October. In addition, I talked a lot about on the last episode the Knit the Rainbow accessories drive that I kicked off at the beginning of September. That is going to run through December 15th. If you saw my interview with Austin, you know that one of the things I had thought about was everybody holding on to their items until the end, photograph them for the documentation for the point system. But he indicated that it's probably helpful to get things sent in more regularly as you finish them, because they have several different distribution dates that they have throughout the year, and one of those I think comes up in October. So if you have things already made and you can gather up several of them to ship off to Knit the Rainbow, go ahead and do that. Just make sure you're documenting it with a photograph and keeping score if you're playing along for the giveaways in the Knit the Rainbow accessories drive. If all of that has just confused you and you don't even know what I'm talking about, there is a link to a document in the show notes down below that will explain the entire giveaway process. I will post a QR code here that will take you right to that document, but basically there's a tally sheet and there's a point system depending on what you're making, and some bonus points for using special yarn that will get you points for the ultimate prize giveaway. I'm going to talk a little bit about the prizes here in just a second. Those will be given out at the end, but throughout the entire run of the accessories drive, I'm going to be doing random giveaways, and I have one of those right now. So, Waldinky on Instagram, who is a friend of mine in the Knitalong and the Crochetalong, you have won the first of the giveaway prizes for the Knit the Rainbow accessories drive. I have for you a limited edition Knit the Rainbow enamel pin. Each year they come out with a new enamel pin, and I think I heard Austin say on one of his lives, I think they only make 100 or 200 of these, and once they're sold, they're gone. So I have a couple of these to give away throughout the accessories drive. So I have that coming to you, as well as a pattern code for any of Casey Knits patterns on Ravelry. So Casey of Casey Knits has generously donated a couple of pattern codes, and so you will get one of those along with your pin. So I said I was going to mention some of the other prizes that we have, because I think I've put together a really amazing set of prizes for the Knit the Rainbow accessories drive to try to get as many people jazzed about making these for Knit the Rainbow this fall and winter. So in terms of the random giveaways that we're just going to be doing throughout, and to enter into those, you use the hashtag Gary Knits the Rainbow 23 on Instagram. Every time you enter, again, it is an entry into to those giveaways. I think I'm going to say you can only win one of those random giveaways unless we exhaust all of the entries, and then we'll start repeating. But and then the point related giveaways will happen at the very end. So in terms of the random giveaways through the hashtag, I have some more of the Knit the Rainbow pins. I have some more pattern codes from Casey Knits. I have this needle case, 3D printed needle case from Rightfully So. I had shown this before because I picked up one of these at Flocked. It's called the Satisfying Screw because it is a screw top needle case. Very, very cool. So I have one of those to give away as a prize, a random prize. And then I just got these, so this is also in my acquisitions this week, a set of these Halloween themed, let me see if I can get them up there, Halloween themed stitch marker / project keepers from Whitney Marie Anderson. If you've never seen her stuff, she makes the most adorable little, and I can't believe these are all like hand painted and stuff. So there's a candy corn, there's a pumpkin, there's a little cauldron, maybe 2 candy corns, and then there's this one which I had trouble recognizing, but it's a teeny tiny little bat that's hanging upside down and wrapped up in his wings. So that will also be probably around Halloween, one of the random giveaways for the Knit the Rainbow accessories drive. In terms of the big prizes for the point-based system that will happen at the very end, I have some mini skeins from Jade-Woo. Actually, I have a set of mini skeins from Jade-Woo for a random giveaway as well. I have a Halloween themed one that I will give away as part of one of the random ones. But I have a holiday themed mini set from Jade-Woo Designs. I have a copy of Courtney Flynn's The Art of Knitting Hats book for all of you colorwork lovers. I have a Woolens and Nosh sock advent, so it's self-striping sock yarn where each day is a different color in the advent, so it's broken into two skeins. I have a $50 gift card from Pretty Twisted Yarns, and then the grand prize for the person who scores the most points in the accessories drive is a full advent from Porter Woolco. So I think it's 24 mini skeins and 1 full skein. I'll have to double check that, but it is her full advent. And the theme is sort of bookish. It's something around books, and so a bookish themed advent. I don't have it in hand yet because they obviously have it. That and the Woolens and Nosh sock advent have not been shipped out yet, but as soon as those come, I'll show them off and let you know what's coming to two lucky winners. I won't reveal the secrets of it. I will just show the packaging and things like that. So I think that is a pretty amazing set of prizes. All of those I've purchased with the exception of the pattern codes from Casey of Casey Knits. So if you are a maker and you would like to throw in some more prizes, I'm happy to give them away, show them off when they come in. Anything I can do to sort of boost excitement around making things for Knit the Rainbow this fall and winter is super helpful. I'm also always happy to take giveaway items for the Knitalongs and Crochetalongs. I've had a ton of generous donations over the past couple of years and built up a pretty good little booty stash of things that I've purchased as well as things that have come in. But if you ever have oopsies or one-of-a-kinds or anything that you would like to offload, I'm always happy to have that conversation and talk about that. So that is the Knit the Rainbow's accessories drive. I'm going to show a couple things that I've already finished for that here in just a little bit. But if you have any questions about that, about the scoring system or anything like that, please shoot me a DM either in the comments here or over on Instagram, and I will be happy to try to walk you through the through the details on that. And you could also go back and watch my interview with Austin Rivers of Knit the Rainbow for more information on the organization and how they operate. I'll pop a link up to this to the standalone interview that I did that was part of the last episode as well. So that is it in terms of things that are going on. Let's get into the knitting. I have one FO, one nearly FO, and a few whips. I had a whip parade last episode because I had started every single item for the Knitalong and Crochetalong. I'm not going to go through each of those. I haven't made a ton of progress on some of them because I've been very focused on the project that is my nearly FO. So in terms of the actual FO, I think I was working on this last time, but this is a hat that I have made for Knit the Rainbow. This is the Coffee Talk Toque from Tracy Miller of the Grocery Girls. And it was knit up in this, it's an Italian commercial yarn. I think it's called like Ariafil or Adiafil. It was donated to me to put into the D-Stash for Good auction, but the skeins were kind of messed up, and I just didn't think it was presentable to D-Stash, so I just said I will take that myself and turn it into charity knitting. So I had a ball with this pattern. It's really fun. I think it looks cool. I think it looks, you kind of lose a little bit of the pattern with all of the stripes, but it makes a really nice texture, and it's a good size and very stretchy hat. So this will go to Knit the Rainbow as part of my first shipment, along with 6 or 7 other beanies that I have already worked up. So that is my true FO. My nearly FO, which you may guess if you've been following along, is my Rhinebeck sweater. So this is the Painting Honeycombs sweater by Stephen West, and it is being done in Shibui Knits Haven, which is an 80% merino, 20% cashmere non-superwash, which is the navy. The colorway is Suit, and then the color work is done in Fully Spun. The colorway is called Rum Punch. This is a DK weight sweater. I am completely done with all of the knitting. I've tried it on one last time, and it fits great. When we're back from vacation and I've finished and blocked it and all that, I will maybe I'll even wear it during episode, although it's going to be quite warm. It's not a sweater that is built for Southern California with the cashmere content, but at least maybe I'll take a picture of it on. I did some shaping on the sleeves, more so than what Stephen West had you do, so it is very fitted, which is what I wanted. I did not want a boxy fit. I think I probably could have added some increases after I split for sleeves or at the bottom of the yoke. I took the one that he had put in the pattern out, so I just shifted down a size and did not include that. So it is snug, but it's not uncomfortable. And then I added a little bit of length to the body and to the arms, so that if I raised my arms up, it wasn't riding up and becoming a crop top, or my sleeves weren't going to my elbows. So I'm very happy with the fit. Thank you so much again to Valerie of A Visit with Nana and Papa here on YouTube. She really held my hand in making my first pullover sweater, and my first sweater for me, knowing that I was concerned primarily about how the neck was going to fit. So we modified the neck, and that it was going to be too oversized. So I'm thrilled with the way that it's fit me. All I have left to do, as you see everything's on barber cords, is I'm going to take the contrasting color and do one row of ribbing on the cuffs and at the hem, and then I'm going to do a tubular bind off. And so that's just hopefully going to give just like a nice little pop of color and a really nice finishing detail on the cuffs. And then I do have to do a little repair work at the underarms in a couple of places. You can see there's a pretty noticeable gap. It didn't really happen when I added the sleeves, which is, I think, is where it typically, that's where it became noticeable. But it wasn't, I think, the typical problem. I followed, and I can't remember now whose video it was, on how to avoid holes of the underarm, and used that method, which was picking up like 2 extra stitches and then decreasing them away when you came back around to them. This issue, I think, arose because I had so much trouble splitting for sleeves. I ended up having to do it like 2 or 3 times, and I think that at that point, stitches that were a couple of rows back got really loose, and so I just need to go in there and tighten them up, do a little mending on top of it, and I think it'll be fine. So yeah, I'm very happy that I finished it before we headed out on vacation. When I started it, not really knowing how long it was going to take me, I envisioned that I was actually going to have to take it with me on the trip and try to work on it on the plane. It's very bulky. Packing space for this trip is going to be at a premium, so I'm glad that I am not going to have to take this. There'll be plenty of time before Rhinebeck when I get back to do these finishing touches on it, and still have time to be working on other projects, which is also great, because I was also afraid that if I didn't take it with me, I was going to be jamming to try to get it done before I head off to New York for Rhinebeck. So I think I'm in a really good place. I'm now only worried about the weather in Rhinebeck. If it is 80 degrees like it is right now here, this is going to be a sweltering sweater. So we may get a couple of pictures of it, and then it may be draped over my shoulders, like I'm in 16 Candles or something like that from the 80s. But painting Honeycombs, Stephen West, really great first experience with a pullover and a circular yoke. Looking forward to more sweater knitting down the road. I don't know that I'll ever become like a huge sweater knitter, just because of where we live, and it's just rarely cool enough to wear a lot of sweaters. And so I think the payoff for the amount of work that goes into it is probably, the reward work is a little out of balance. But I did enjoy the process, and I have probably 4 more sweater quantities of yarn already set aside for various patterns. I think the next thing that I'm going to try to tackle is a cardigan for myself, just a basic navy blue cardigan for myself, because I think cardigans actually I will get more wear out of here, because it's just natural ventilation, and you can kind of make it cooler if you need to. Eventually what I would really love to figure out is how to insert a zipper and do a zipper cardigan, but the first one I'm going to do is just going to be like a little Mr. Rogers type of cardigan. That's probably 2024. I don't see myself starting that before the end of the year, because I have a massive blanket project to work on over this winter. So that is my nearly FO. I was just about to talk about whips, and then the phone rang because I forgot to put it on Do Not Disturb, which is, I used my camera for filming for the time being. And so I hit cancel and what I didn't realize was that it also shut off the filming. So I went on for, I don't know, another 15 or 20 minutes before I realized that I wasn't filming. So we're going to try this again, and we're going to talk about whips. The first of which is my Rainbow Eucalyptus beanie from Cerulean Orchid. This is one of the Crochetalong projects this time. This is being done in Teal Torch Knits After the Storm colorway, which just gets prettier and prettier the more and more I use it. I am done with the Increases top-down beanie, and this is going to go into hold while I am on vacation. I don't think this can go with me. It's too small. It's not good for plane, train, or automobile crocheting, at least for me at this point in time. And it's a good place to stop because I've finished all the Increases. It's a good place to pick it back up, and I'll know exactly where I am. One of the things I have learned from this and the next project I'm about to show you is that I think I am a bit of a loose crocheter. I didn't check for gauge because both of these things were going to be for Knit the Rainbow, and whether or not they fit me is kind of irrelevant. But this is supposed to be, 5 inches across, and I'm an inch bigger than it should be. So it's going to be a little bit big for me, but I think it'll be fine for someone else. It's really been fun. A fun pattern, new skills, a lot of front posts, back posts, double crochets. and I just love the way that creates this texture in the ribbing. So I'm excited about how that has turned out. As I mentioned, the other project that I have is also the other whip that I've made some progress on from the Knitalong Crochetalong Projects is the other crochet project. That is the Save Da Bun hat. But as you can see, this is pretty big for a hat. I didn't really think it was when I had just finished the ribbing, because that pulls in a little bit, but the more I have done, the bigger it has gotten. So this is definitely cowl, Save Da Bun cowl. And as I think I mentioned on the last episode, my plan was to make this first one as a hat, as a bun hat with the cinch at the top, or open at the top with the option to cinch it, and donate that to Knit the Rainbow, and then make a cowl using the rest of the skeins of yarn for myself. So I think we're just going to flip that, and I think that this will then become the cowl for myself, and I will reevaluate whether I just do less ribbing to set this up, or go down a couple of hook sizes and see where my gauge is. I think the gauge is probably measured on these half double crochets here, so I'll probably measure that, see where I am, and probably go down a couple hook sizes to make the hats. So I'm hoping I can get 2 more hats out of the 3 skeins of yarn. This is being done in Jada Woo Designs. So this was the Curiosity kit. This bottom color, which is in the ribbing, is the Curiosity. The yellow or the gold is Honey Nut, and the fawn is Fawn. So it's gorgeous yarn to work with. It just flies off the hook because of the silk content. It's a silk merino DK weight yarn. And the other thing that I realized as I was now contemplating turning this into the cowl is at the top, because it is an open topped hat with a cinch that you can then turn into a beanie, there's not another round of ribbing, I don't believe. I kind of looked ahead and it doesn't do that. But I think that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to modify the pattern. I don't even know who I am anymore. I'm modifying sweater patterns, modifying this pattern. And probably do another round or another ribbing section at the top, just for symmetry's sake. So I need to, once we get back from vacation, take a look at kind of how the pattern goes from here and where I would add that in, and then think about how to add the ribbing. I mean, I could do it just like this one was done, which was done this way as a strip, and then you picked up stitches along you picked up along the edge to then start going this way. So I'm not sure I could do that and just slip stitch it or whip stitch it to the top, but I feel like there must be a way where I could just stop, at the end of a row and chain out this way and do the ribbing, slip stitching each time I get to the end. So I may have to experiment around with that and see what would work. But I'm really enjoying the pattern. Again, some new skills. This modified brick stitch, which is dropping down a couple rows, doing some front post work, has been a new skill for me, as well as creating the ribbing kind of the opposite direction that you normally crochet. So Save Da Bun hat from Yarn Gone Wild Yarn Craft in Jada Woo Designs. So as I mentioned, I have started all of the Knitalong Crochetalong projects. My original plan was to take the Stars Align hat with me on this trip, and this will get into a little bit of how I've been thinking about travel knitting this time around. That is DK weight, 2 colors, but you only use half of a skein for the hat. And then I wasn't going to do the mittens, try to start mittens, which I've never made before on a trip. I, for one, unless it's going to be me sitting in a cabin for long periods of time with concentration, starting a new project using a technique or a new type of pattern that I've never done before is not something that is relaxing travel knitting for me. Just the especially on the way that this trip is going to roll out, a lot of stopping and starting and picking up and moving from place to place. That's just not conducive for me to be learning new techniques. I would lose my place and get frustrated. So that wasn't going to do the mittens. So I was going to be left with, if I finished the hat, 2 half skeins of yarn that I was going to have to tote around. It's not a huge amount of yarn, but as you'll see in a minute, the project I've decided to take with me, if I finish them, I'll be left with flat objects and not bulky balls of yarn, which gives me more room to maybe buy some souvenir yarn along the way. I'm going to try to keep it to a minimum, but it'll happen for sure. So that was basically it on the whips until I started doing some pre-packing, pulling out things, trying to figure out how it's all going to fit into the little rollerboard that I usually take. And I was looking for a beanie in case it gets cool in the evening, and the one that I was looking for I cannot find. It's a Runcible hat. Here's a picture of it. It's by Nina. Oh my gosh, I just spoke to her. I just spoke to her in person. Anyway, here's the name of the pattern. It's the Runcible hat, and here's the picture of it. And I couldn't find it, and there wasn't really another beanie, even though I have many beanies, that was ideal for what I was looking for. I wanted to make sure it, would match outfits and all that stuff. So I sort of was thinking, well, I wonder if I have enough time, maybe on this first leg of the trip, if I got something started, could I finish up a beanie that I could then have with me on the trip for myself. Thought about making another Runcible hat. It's a worsted weight hat, so I was kind of, what do I have laying around here that's worsted weight that would be the colors that I was looking to make? And then I realized I had a ton of, and apologize for reaching, Shibui Haven in the suit colorway left. So when I first decided to make the Painting Honeycombs sweater, I think I had a sweater quantity of the Shibui Haven. Always nervous about running out of yarn, and then Shibui announced that they were going out of business, and so then I was really panicked that I wasn't going, if I did run out of yarn, I wasn't going to be able to find any more. So I went online, found someone that had it it was actually in the same dye lot, and so I bought like 3 skeins as insurance skeins for the pattern. Well, I have 3.5, maybe 4 skeins left, so I have plenty of this yarn. So I thought, well, it's already caked up, and why don't I just find a pattern that I can work on quickly. So I found this Stephen West pattern. It's called Windschife, I think, or Windschiff. Here it is. Here's a picture of it over here, maybe. And I cast this on last night, and I am already to the crown decreases. Now I knew I had some waiting around time today. I had to take my dad to a medical appointment, and so I knew I was going to have some time in the waiting room, but this thing has flown off the needles. I think this was 2 hours of TV knitting last night, and then maybe another hour today sitting in the waiting room. So I mean, I'm probably another hour away from finishing this. DK weight, again, it's pretty basic stocking it around, but you can see there's this twisted rib section here that through increases and decreases gets knit kind of at a slope up the body of the hat. So I'm into the crown decreases. I don't know, there's probably 10 or 15 more rounds left to go before I'm able to wrap this up. So I don't know if this is going to get finished before we head to the airport, but if not, it is going to be finished before the end of the first leg of the trip, and I'm going to have a new beanie that I don't have any navy ones that are solid colors, so I think that'll be great, and it'll be a nice, cozy merino cashmere beanie for me. So that is a new cast on and whip that will be hopefully an FO in the next day or so, if I have any time to knit before we head out. So that was sort of an unplanned travel knit. I was planning to work on something else in the first leg of the trip, but I think that'll get, like I said, that'll get done. As I mentioned last time, I found what I thought was going to be the perfect travel pattern. It is the Orbit shawl. Here's a picture of it. Oh my gosh, I'm terrible at that today. And I had this gorgeous skein, which is now caked up, of Life in the Long Grass DK weight. So it's a single skein DK weight yarn, DK weight shawl. As I said, it's worked on 8s, so I think it, it's going to create a loose fabric, but we may end up with a kerchief. I've seen lots of projects on Ravelry. They all look like nice little small shawl sizes that wrap a couple times around your neck and will be perfect. But it just seems kind of amazing to me that you get even a shawlette out of a single skein of DK weight. So if that works out well, this may be a new go-to quick gift, a quick gift pattern for me. So I just went ahead and cast on just to have it started, to get past the fiddly bits at the beginning before I jumped on an airplane. And yeah, I can already tell this is going to be a perfect travel pattern for me. It's extremely easy to memorize, very mindless. Don't even have to look down at it because it's basically garter stitch with an occasional eyelet row. And so this is going to be great for either driving, sitting on waiting rooms, airport lounges, wherever to work on, even on an airplane. If it's dark, it's going to be pretty easy to do. So I discovered this pattern before I filmed the last episode. I was very excited that, this is going to be perfect. Did not realize it was already in my queue with yarn already kitted up in my kit section of the stash. So I dug through that bin to find it and decided that since I was already going to be working on one, I was going to take that yarn with me as well, because I really think that's, 5 or 6 hours of knitting maybe? I don't know. It seems like it's going to go really quickly. So what I had picked out for this yarn, and for this pattern, sometime in the last 3 years, I don't remember when, and I don't remember even where this yarn came from, but it was actually other Shibui yarn. So this is Shibui Echo, which is 52% silk, 48% merino, and the color is tar. So it's this dark gray. Again, right up my alley in terms of something that will get a lot of use. This seems lighter. It is. I mean, it's listed as DK, but it seems like a lighter yarn. It also has more yardage per 100 grams than the Life in the Long Grass. So on those bigger needles, it may even create a drapey or a looser fabric. So we shall see. So the plan, those then have been added to the travel knitting pile. When I found that the Orbit pattern, I thought, okay, that's perfect. I'll take that. And then the other plan was just to take a skein of Felici worsted. This one happens to be colorway Friendly Skies, which I guess is appropriate if you're flying on airplanes, even though we're not flying on United. But to have this on hand to bang out a couple of hats for Knit the Rainbow. This, I know, is a 2.5-3 hour hat. From my experience knitting these on the AIDS Lifecycle this year, I think I finished 2 during the week of the ride. Basically, started one night in camp and finished it the next night in camp. So I definitely know I can get 2 hats out of this, and they will be very, very fast projects. So just have that as a one backup for if I either get bored of working on the shawls, or for whatever reason just want something to different. One of the things I'm thinking of is I have a little bag that has a little clip that I can clip to a belt loop, and we have several opportunities on this trip to do long, I won't call them hikes because I don't think it's going to be that strenuous, but walks, and 6-7 mile walks. And I've never really done a lot of walking and knitting, but these are just going to be just kind of nature walks through the countryside, and I thought it might be fun to kind of try that and see how it goes. I might get chastised because I can see my husband saying, you're supposed to be, paying attention to nature and not knitting. But I think I can do both, especially with just stockinette in the round. Anyway, the two patterns that I think I'm going to take for this are the citrus hat, which I have made before. Here's a picture of one that I knit. Hopefully I have a picture of that. If not, here's the one from the Ravelry page of the citrus hat. Great charity knitting hat. Super fast, easy to memorize. I think it's great looking and is very, very stretchy, so I think it fits a wide variety of heads. And the other one that I think I will take with me, which I've also made before, is Christian's hat. So again, Olga, and my name memory is failing me today, but Olga something, or Agnes something. But here's the name of the designer. But it's nice. It's kind of like has a little puffy texture. So I think those two is what that will be. That will become. But I think a lot of people can relate that it's always the question is how many projects to bring. A lot of it has to depend on what kind of vacation it's going to be, whether there's going to be a lot of sitting around. As I mentioned, this is going to be a lot of moving. There will be some driving. I tend to do the driving when we are on vacation, but I can probably convince my husband to do some of it, which will give me some knitting time in the car. But it's going to be a lot of packing and unpacking and moving from place to place. So I didn't want anything bulky, but I also always fear running out of projects. And then when I talked about travel knitting back in March, when we were taking our last trip, a lot of people said, I don't even bother anymore taking yarn, because then that allows me to buy souvenir yarn, which is true, but I don't know that I would be very good about buying souvenir yarn and starting something not knowing what the project was going to be, unless I just had an idea of what was going to be available and bring the right needles and all that stuff. So I'd rather pack a little extra more just to make sure that I didn't run out of stuff to do and not have to risk having to go buy something to be working on something whenever we have some downtime. As I mentioned, I said there's several flights involved, which always means getting to the thing like 2 hours before time and sitting around and waiting, and who knows if there are delays, and there's ferries, and again, they want you there like an hour before everything goes. So I think it'll be even though we're moving around a lot and we're going to be doing a lot of seeing, I think there will be some downtime for knitting. So I picked one more project to take with me, and that is, I picked this yarn. This is chameleon hand-dyed yarns. I've had this for over a year. It's DK weight. It is called Summer Sunset, and it is one of those zebra yarns. So it has this black yarn plied in places with the solid color to kind of create some variegation. Well, it's already variegated, but some additional variegation as it is knit up. And I picked a pattern that's designed specifically for this type of yarn. It's called Zany Zebra by Chic and Regal Knits. I'm almost 100% sure that is right. I will pop it up here, and a picture of one of the final projects there. So it's a 2 skein DK weight. So it is, I'm taking an extra 2 skeins of yarn, but as you can see, it's a pretty open work kind of thing. So I think that if I do get a chance to start working on this, and I might do this, I may do the orbit shawl, switch over to this if I'm tired of just garter stitch back and forth, and this has a little more detail and interest to it. But it's pretty open, so I think that it'll go pretty quickly, even though it is 2 skeins, 200 gram skeins of DK weight. So that is the other project, but it all is pretty much going to fit in this little Ziploc bag. As I mentioned, I'll probably take the little go bag that I can clip to my belt and test out some walking and knitting. So I don't think I've overdone it, but I definitely like to make sure that I have things to work on, especially if there are lots of sort of travel stops along the way. When I spoke in March about travel knitting, I mentioned my Notions kit that I take with me, and I said, oh, maybe in a later episode I'll show it. So I thought I would do that today. As I mentioned back then, what I use for Notions when I travel is actually a hard eyeglass case. So your glasses where, every time you get a new pair, they give you one of these, even though you have the last one that you had. And so what I do is I load it up with a set of Notions that can pretty much hopefully solve any sort of issue that comes up during a trip. I have this little needle gauge in there, which actually has a ruler on it well, but I don't need the ruler because I take a tape measure. This one happens to be from Blue Fiber Company, but it perfectly fits into this rounded corner of this case. One of the things that I do, and I assume other people do as well in terms of clips, is I use nail clips. I put them on yarn so that I can just wear them around my neck when I'm on the plane. So I just have them dangling around my neck so they're always there and I'm not fishing around for snipping things. Very good when you're taking advantage of a flight to weave in ends and you're constantly clipping. So I have that in there. I have a little set of tapestry needles as well as one of those cable tightening tools, a stitch counter if I need to be counting something, and then a variety of stitch markers and progress keepers in various styles. So the split rings, some regular rings, some light bulbs, just a variety that I always have. I often put a little stub of a pencil in there, and then I have some little sticky notes if I need to make a note on the pattern itself, because I'm still a paper pattern guy. And then I have one of those tiny little crochet hook fix-it tools. So I have found this great. This time I'm actually even using it to carry my spare needle tips. One of the things I've done on this trip, which I have not really thought about in the past, is trying to coordinate the patterns I'm bringing. And it really came into effect when I was picking out hat patterns to make sure that I'm minimizing the number of needles that I have. So both of the hat patterns, including the Stephen West one that I'm working on for myself, they're all 6s and 7s. So a 6 for the brim and a 7 for the body. And then all of the shawls are worked on 8s. So basically with three needle sizes, I'm able to have 5, 6. Well, 2 are the same, but five completely different patterns. So that's something I really hadn't thought about doing in the past, but I was really conscious about trying to minimize my chances of losing needle tips by having the fewest number of needles as I possibly can. So I found this really, really a great solution rather than a little pouch. One of the things I like about it is sort of heavy and hard, so I always know when it's in the little knitting bag that I take with me. Like I can always tell that it's in there, so it's the chances of me misplacing it, leaving it on a plane, leaving it on a train, whatever, are minimal because I'm always sort of conscious that it's there. It closes and holds itself closed. I can also pop a rubber band around it if I need to keep it closed. So that's my solution. If I need an even more compact solution, I have taken one of these little tins. This one happened to be for some hand balm that Ken Yarn did for his Mean Pearls collection, and I similarly put a little tool on a string in there that it's not clippers, but it has this little thing that says cut, where you can just run a line through there. It also has like a bottle opener and a screwdriver and a nail file and all things that have nothing to do with knitting, but I just think that little cut thing is good. Obviously you can oftentimes just break the yarn, but again, an assortment of stitch markers, one of these little floof things that you can use as a cable needle in a pinch, some stitch stoppers, etc. So if I know that I am really, really tight on space, and then I'm probably only working on one project, I will oftentimes just throw this in the bag. And on the eyeglasses place, I have like 2 or 3 of them around, and I've just kind of because you always get those tape measures and things with different people give them away, and so I've been able to build several of these, and they're just kind of in all of my knitting locations, so that I'm running out of the house to jump in the car and know I'm going to have knitting. I just grab one and I know it's complete and ready to go. So that is what I am taking with me on my trip. If you have favorite must-have notions or ways of organizing your knitting for travel, I'd love to hear them down below in the comments. As I mentioned, I talked about this in March and heard from folks in terms of the number of projects and what they like to work on. I mentioned this on the Zoom call a week or so ago, and heard everything from you're never going to you take as many projects as you want. You're only going to work on one, and then other people are like, take as many as you can, because I'm just going to the doctor's office and I'm taking 4 different things with me because I never know what I'm going to want to work on. So there's obviously a huge range of styles out there in terms of what you like to take with you when you're traveling. So hopefully when I get back, I will have at least one FO, and we can judge whether or not I overpacked, which is probably likely, or underpacked. And there may be some souvenir yarn in there as well. As I think I mentioned, we're going to be seeing some friends, some of whom are yarny people, and definitely will be taking me around to their local yarn stores to see what's available. So very high likelihood, but I do want to try to save some firepower for Rhinebeck, because that's going to be happening not too long after we get back from vacation. So that is it in terms of, I think, all of the knitting content second time through. I do want to talk a little bit about acquisitions. I have several things that have come in. Most of this is booty stash enhancement, which is what I call things that I've purchased for prizes for both the Knitalong, the Crochetalong, and the Knit the Rainbow accessories drive. But I do have two things. I had 2 things that are actually for myself. So as I mentioned when I was talking about prizes for the Knit the Rainbow accessories drive, one of the big prizes is a Woolens and Nosh sock advent. So I was really excited when I saw Michelle post that those were available, and so I went on. I was like, that is a fantastic prize. I'm going to grab one for myself. And I've never bought any of Michelle's yarn, even though I've been admiring it from a distance for a long time. So while I was on the website, 2 of the colors that I am absolutely in love with were available, and so I just grabbed them. So I finally have my own skein of percolated. I've seen this knit up by a bunch of different people. Kevin and Ray have knit this up. I believe Michael at Piece for Piece has knit this up. Right up my alleyway in terms of colorways, and it looks great knit up. So I'm excited to have that. When this will get used, I do not know, but I'm excited to someday make socks out of that. And then the other one that I just really thought was great was this one called This Is the Way, with these teals and mustards and olives. Both of these on her Targhee fingering, which is a 90% superwash Targhee and 10% nylon. So grabbed some Woolens and Nosh while I was there, and eventually these will become socks for me. I think that was it in terms of things that I bought for myself. The rest of it is going into the prize stash. So I was at the Knitting Tree LA, which is my local yarn store. This year is their 10th year anniversary in business, and every Sunday and Wednesday they have like social knitting night, and I popped down there for that. And I saw on the wall that my buddy Caitlin from Porter Wool Co. had dyed up a special colorway as a 10th anniversary celebration. It's called Under the Tree on her 80/20 fingering base, and I just thought it was fantastic, so I grabbed a skein of that to help Knitting Tree celebrate their 10th anniversary, and someone will have a chance to win this at some point down the road in the Knitalongs and Crochetalongs, because oftentimes the prizes are pick your yarn from the treasure trove of yarns that I've picked up along the way. Similarly, Teresa at Pretty Twisted Yarns has put together this colorway for the Halloween season called Spooky But Keep It Pink. I think she's also doing a knit-along right now with that same theme, and I think she was selling this yarn as as a pre-order. Maybe it was even one of her fundraising yarns. I can't keep track of it all of the time. But she had a single skein of it in this sparkle base, and so I said, ooh, that's special. And so I grabbed that. You can see these purple, and then there's some like dark green speckles in there as well. Sorry. It's great. So this is on her Stardust base, which is 75 merino, 20% nylon, and 5% Lurex, 437 yards per 100 gram. We're a little light on pink in the booty stash, so that is going to go in there as well for all of you Barbie loving folks. You can grab some of that if you are one of the upcoming winners. And then a couple people have had some really nice sales recently, and so I always use that as an opportunity. I'm sorry, I'm missing one of the skeins. Oh well. But Courtney at Silly Goose Yarns was having a sale over Labor Day, so I grabbed some of her yarn, including this mohair silk, which is called Orange Blaze. I got several other colorways on different bases, and then Fuzzy Whatnots was doing kind of a house cleaning sale as well, and so I grabbed this, and very appropriate for the season. This is Pumpkin Spice from Was It Fuzzy Whatnots. So all of those will go into the prize stash, and I think that is it in terms of acquisitions this time around. In terms of Craftivism, obviously the big push for me is the Knit the Rainbow accessories drive, which again runs through December 15th. So we're hoping to make this the biggest year ever for Knit the Rainbow. Again, I mentioned it in the conversation I had with Austin last time, but their Pearl Awards are coming up in November. Free event. So grab your tickets for that if you want to help chip in. They're also doing raffles and giveaways and things like that you can buy extra tickets for. But the event itself is free, and it's a lot of fun. It's a great evening. But a couple other items that I wanted to bring to your attention. First, and I don't know who turned me on to this maker, but her name is Molly Lee. She's out of Portland, and she has a company called, show it this way, Optimistic Soap. And she came to my attention because originally in August she was donating $1 from every bar of her soap that she sold to the National Network of Abortion Funds. And not surprisingly, she got some pushback from certain quarters. And that's what originally brought her to my attention. And so she said she had lost some followers or whatever. So I said, well, you gained one, and I'm going to buy some of the soap. She, in addition to having lost some supporters, she then was overwhelmed with orders and actually had to put the brakes on her business for a couple weeks to get re-caught up. And she decided to extend that donation through the month of September. So you still have a couple weeks, and $1 from every bar of her soap she is donating to the National Network of Abortion Funds. So I picked up two different flavors, scents. So this one is called Unicorn Dreams, and she's amazing. She not only supports reproductive health, but she has used her platform and her business to support the LGBT community, as well as organizations. So it's right up my alley in terms of the type of craftivism that I love to see and support and spread the word on. So Unicorn Dreams was one, and one that was called Love Wins. And I mean, you can obviously see how beautiful the soap is, but the smell is amazing. So this came in the mail, and like, just approaching the mailbox, there are like 5 or 6 bars in there. You could smell it, and it just smells so delicious. And it has, like, I don't know if you can see, but it has like little sparkles in it. But go check out her Instagram. It's Optimistic Soap on Instagram. She has several videos where she's showing how she pours the soap and gets the color swirls and all that stuff. But she's amazing, and I'm really glad to have whoever sent me in that direction. I appreciate it, because she's really doing some amazing things. The other two that I wanted to mention are back in the yarn world. Jimmy Bean's Wool, who you all know, a big yarn distributor, also owns Madeline Tosh and Delacue. They are running a donation, or I don't know what you would call it, a fundraiser. There you go, for an organization based in Maui. So it's a homeless resource organization. The acronym is KHAKO. I will not try to pronounce the name of it and butcher the Hawaiian language, but it's a homeless resource center that lost their entire facility in West Maui. So Jimmy Beans is trying to raise money for them. They have a number of different things they've put together, some patterns, some yarn kits, and some mini skein kit called Minis for Maui. So all the profits from the Minis for Maui, and I'll post a picture of it up here, are going to be donated to KHAKO. They also have 20% of their new line Yarn Citizen. They've put together a kit there called Aloha Lahaina, and 20% of the proceeds from those kits are going to be donated, as well as all of the proceeds from the patterns that they have selected as part of this fundraiser. So I'm not sure how long that is running, but go to Jimmy Beans. Well, this and everything that I'm going to talk about is linked below in the show notes. Again, I'll pop up a QR code here to get you to the show notes if you're watching this on your TV. But that's an amazing thing that Jimmy Bean is doing to help out an organization in Maui that really lost a huge part of what they do. The other one that I want to mention, and I mentioned the beneficiary organization last time, but it's a great organization. It is SAC. And they make the soap sacks. Again, I will link down to them below. They collect and distribute hand knit sacks, which are basically washcloths with a bar of soap inside, and distribute those to homeless organizations as part of their sort of essential kits that they distribute to different homeless organizations around the country. And Knit Picks is doing a promotion in September, which is a buy one get one, and basically if you buy one of these kits, which is 3 skeins of Dishi, which is their cotton worsted weight yarn that many of you use to make dishcloths, you buy one of those kits, which is 3 skeins, that you will get 3 skeins free to make these soap sacks and get those to the organization SAC. So I thought that was a great opportunity. As I mentioned last time, Beyond Yarn, which is a local yarn store in Union, New Jersey, is also doing a collection and distribution of the sacks for SAC as well. So all of those great opportunities to take something that we love doing and turn it around and send it back out into the world to do some good that way. So thank you all for taking some time out this week. Hopefully it recorded this time. And I look forward to seeing you in a couple more weeks and letting you know what sort of souvenir yarn, if any, I was able to find on my trip. Hopefully at that point show off my fully finished Rhinebeck sweater as well. Thank you for taking the time to spend some time with me today, see what I'm working on, see how we can take our love for making to do some good in the world. I will see you in a couple weeks. Thanks so much.